You ready?
Yeah,
Okay. So, let's start by introducing yourself.
well, my name is Kevin Prasad. I work at HSS at San Francisco International. I do security for the checkpoints in graveyard shift, which is from midnight to 8:30. I work basically to ensure that nobody goes through the checkpoint that's not supposed to go through the checkpoint, only the airport employees at certain times. And I make sure all the passengers and any other people know where they're supposed to go if they have any questions.
How is your role important to the airport?
Obviously, with the dangerous times that we live in currently, we got to make sure that the checkpoint is secure at all times, 24 hours, every day, every night. There's no holidays, no breaks in between. Either it's going to be us who's going to be watching and making sure the checkpoint is secure, or a different company is going to do it.
Okay. Have you yourself found yourself in situations that you felt were dangerous, or where you've witnessed someone come into or try to do something at the airport that they're not supposed to be?
Well, not really. I mean, I've been bribed many times just because when we do close down the checkpoint by law, in order to get onto an aircraft, you have to go through security, to TSA approved security, and we do not do that. There's another company that does that.
Okay. How long have you worked at the airport?
Well, I've been working since 2013, so almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years.
But I've worked with 3 different companies so far. I've worked passenger services with a company called AirServe.
Okay.
And I've worked with Central Parking for a month, and I really didn't like it there, so I ended up leaving that.
Why?
It's just because I had a little bit of problems with how they ran their operations, but it's just how they ran it. There was no I felt it wasn't a good fit for me, so I decided to leave. And then I work with HSS. I've been doing that for about almost a year. Next month, I believe, is going to be a year with them.
What was your starting wages and when you started 4 years ago?
When I started working at AirServe, I was making 10 and a quarter. Okay. And luckily, because we are union, and the QSP started going up slowly because of we got great supervisors who pushed up the MCO. I ended up leaving AirServe at 14 and a quarter, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And then after I left AirServe, I took a 6-month hiatus, and then I came back at HSS, starting at 1509.
Oh, right.
Which, yeah, it's an upgrade, but it's kind of incremental.
And your current wages?
Right now, like I said, we're lucky enough to be unionized, and we have a CBA, so I'm currently at 1539.
Okay. Do you feel you're able to support yourself and be self-sufficient on your current wages?
No, not really. I mean, 1539 is not even close. I mean, it keeps me just barely floating, but it's like I have to really work on it. It's to the point where I have to live in someone else's house, just rent out a room. I can't even have a space of my own to call my own.
How do you compensate to help supplement your wages?
Well, I've had to pick up another job where I feel it's going to be a better fit for me, and I just got to go and do 2 jobs. I shouldn't have to be working 16 hours to keep myself afloat. I used to live close to the LAX, and I could see that as a child I would see the airplanes coming in and landing, and that's what really interested me in the airplanes. I then moved on to Sacramento, was raised there, went to JRTC. It was Air Force, so that's where I learned about airplanes, more about airplanes, and then from there, after high school, I joined the Army. I was a drone pilot for the Army.
How long were you in the military for?
I was in for 3 years, 8 months.
And where were you stationed at?
I was stationed in Louisiana.
Oh, so
And
that's where you did your basic training, or?
I did my basic training in Missouri.
Oh.
I then did my job training in Arizona. I was stationed in Louisiana for a year and a half, and then a few months in Germany, and a couple weeks in Kuwait before I came home. I also am very technically advanced, but I'm relegated down to a minimum wage job where I can barely scrape on by. I'm sitting and I'm watching, making sure people don't violate the checkpoint, or prohibited items are going through security. It's I kind of feel underused.
Yeah.
Because my potential is there. Obviously, I learned how to do all this stuff, but I'm down to minimum wage.
Yeah, and is there a possibility of advancement at your job besides becoming a supervisor?
Not really. I mean, obviously, becoming a supervisor is the only way of advancement, but I don't plan on becoming a supervisor anytime soon.
So have you heard anything from management as far as wage increases?
No, not really. There's nothing in the grapevine about increasing the wages or anything like that. Like I said earlier, companies do the bare minimum. Just last night, I was reading a report on from Missouri, St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to raise their minimum wage to 11 next year. Now the governor just said that he's going to do this thing called a preemptive law, basically stating that the cities and the municipalities cannot raise their minimum wage above what the state minimum wage is. And he's going to let the law go into effect next month. So currently St. Louis's minimum wage is $10.10. They're going to be dropping down to $7.25. Basically a 23% loss in wages, just right off the get-go. And you see this, and it's like a war against the working poor. I mean, they keep touting to us we need to be in debt, that there's this thing called good debt. There's no such thing as good debt. It is a falsehood to even believe that. But what do you do when you're stuck in a situation where you have to live basically paycheck to paycheck?
Well, yeah, I mean, you work 16 hours a day, you work really hard, you should be compensated for that, and, you know, your job, it's already needed. You know, there's no argument that your job is not needed, but you don't have to be poor.
Yeah. The quality of standard, like I said, because of the high turnover rate, you lose that standard, that pizzazz that person brings to the company. Each and every individual is very important to the whole team. Without that one person, you lose it. Maybe there's some special talent that this person has that the rest of the group needs. Maybe there's some special way that this person can handle the situation. Maybe this person is calm and collected and knows exactly what steps to take. And if you end up losing this person, then you lose all that knowledge, and all that wisdom is gone. The pizzazz is gone. The personality is gone.
How would wage increases help you?
Well, if we could go up higher, and $16 is a good start, but it's not there yet.
Oh, no.
If we could go up higher, I could then decide which job I want to keep. If you want to create more jobs out there, we need to go to a living wage. Why do I need to work 16 hours if I can get the same amount of money in 8? More people will start leaving their other jobs, will decide, okay, do I want this job or do I want this job? And if they end up leaving one job, that gives a new person to take that job over, and they're getting compensated, so they're going to stay in one job. These new kids who are who are graduating high school, they need jobs too. The people who are in jail, who are getting out because they've done their time, they're going to need a job. The recidivism rate will just drop if living wage is enacted. Unemployment will drop because these corporations can obviously pay their people. Airlines are making billions, hand over fist. A third of their cost just goes to wages. It's not enough. They outsource a lot of their other labor to other companies. Basically, they outsource their passenger services. Other passenger services companies, they making millions and billions on top of that. So you can't tell me that these companies don't have the money to take care of their employees.
Is it important for you to see your city supervisors pass the amendments?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's a good step because we need to stop with the trickle-down theory. It does not work. We need to start working with the middle-out approach. I'm a driving member of society, not those rich people. I go out and I buy the gas. I buy food. I pay rent. I pay taxes. I buy stuff. All that tax money goes back to you. Yeah, the rich people, they buy stuff, but they're not buying stuff as often as we are. They're not buying yachts every day. They're not buying private airplanes every day. They're not buying fuel every day. Heck, they're not even buying food every day. I am. One in 5 Bay Areans are thinking about leaving or have left. If they're leaving, that's 20%. If they're leaving, that's tax revenue lost. And that's tax revenue lost because they're not being compensated enough. We have to stop this war against the working poor. We need to go in and tell these companies, major companies, that they need to stop paying their people the bare minimum and start paying them what they deserve. You are losing money hand over fist because you're refusing to invest in the middle class. Invest in us and we will invest in you. It's not about, we're not asking for a lot of money. We're asking for enough money. Just enough money to survive off of.
My name is Stacy Curtis, and I am a home care provider.
Okay, so Stacy, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
I'm a person that's very, very giving. How should I say? I like to live my life as if Christ was still here. This is how I live. This is how I try to practice good communications, good people skills, good embrace everybody, love everybody, do the things that Christ would do. Or I always ask myself, what would Christ do in a given situation? If I find myself in a troubling situation or in an easy situation. That's how I live my life, morally correct. I was born in Stockton, California. My mother relocated as a child. We relocated to San Jose. That was due to my mother's marriage. Her husband was very abusive towards her, and she decided to take all 4 of her kids and relocate, kind of like head out, left the marriage and just left. Yeah, and we ended up in San Jose, so I was raised there. I went to high school out there, got most of my formal CNA training from San
Mhm.
Jose. I come from a family of nurses. My
Mhm.
mother went to nursing school. My grandmother went to nursing school. And my great-grandmother was actually a surgical nurse. My grandmother was actually emergency room nurse. And my mother went to nursing school, but she didn't complete because she got pregnant. So that was the end of that.
Okay.
But I went into skilled nursing. I applied, and they called me 13 days later and hired me.
So you
And
could leave Burger King.
yeah, I immediately left Burger King and started working at skilled nursing. It was a 6-month in-house program,
Oh, wow.
but it was through the state. You had to take the state license at the end of that, but you got hands-on, like classroom structure as well as book structure, and you was actually still working. So I was considered just a regular nursing assistant. 6 months later, I was certified through the state of California and became a CNA.
Oh, that's great.
And then also, because I started off my career in San Jose, Santa Clara County, I actually have went for dual certification. So later on, once I seen that the nursing industry was starting to be too much. Well, it was unrealistic. I'll put it that way. You try to do as much as you can for clients, but when you have 15 to 16 people and only have 8 hours to complete, it becomes overwhelming. And one reason why I jumped out of skilled nursing was because of that. I don't like shortchanging no client. If if you're due a shower, I want to be able to give you that shower.
Yeah.
And one thing that skilled nursing didn't offer is that it's everything's fast paced. You only scheduled for 8 hours. At that time, they will only pay you for 7.5. And it was reduced lower than that because you have a couple hours where you got to do mandatory feedings other than your own clients. So you only actually have probably about 5 hours to give probably eight clients a shower and the rest bed baths. And when you do the math, that's just impossible. It's just an impossible task. So I wanted to quit the field all in all, but I had a very good charge nurse. I worked for a very good company, and she seen something very good in me and suggested that I try to go to their other facility, which was not skilled nursing, but more psychiatric. So I was also a participant in San Jose when they first started the concept of hospice care. So what hospice care is basically the right to die. So I had special training in that, and they took a section of their nursing home and blocked it off and had it just for hospice care clients, which was interesting. It was very interesting, and I will say this, during the AIDS epidemic, by me being an out lesbian, there was a lot that was going on in the medical field with doctors, nurses, CNAs, NAs. Nobody wanted to be around those type of people because of the threat. Nobody knew how you can contract it. Nobody knew how easily it could spread. People were outright just scared of AIDS patients. And so what I did was I was a CNA, and I worked in the hospice care facilities. A lot of hospitals, and some of these people, all they just wanted just human touch. Because, I mean, it was a bad era. It was a bad era. It's not like that anymore. And I'm glad because I came out of hospice work. Not because I didn't like the work, but because there's not a high need for me anymore. And I like that now because they're dealing with AIDS. People are living longer, and they're not, it's not like how it used to be 10, 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. It was a bad disease. It hit the gay community real hard. People was afraid. I stepped up because I am a out lesbian, and I just prayed every day.
Okay. What time do you usually start work? Like, how early do you start?
I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I usually get into the city at between 8 and 8:30.
So you commute here?
Yeah, I commute here from Richmond.
You take BART?
I take BART.
Oh.
Can't afford the rent in San Francisco. Been priced out, so.
Oh, so you did live in San Francisco at one point?
I wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to, but priced out. I can't afford this city. I looked everywhere. Still looking.
What company do you work for?
I work for Homebridge.
Homebridge?
Homebridge located here in San Francisco at 1035 Market Street, lower level.
Okay. How long have you been working for Homebridge?
I've worked for Homebridge for 4 years.
4 years? When you started at Homebridge, what was your starting wage?
$11 and I think 25 cents an hour.
How much do you make now?
Well, technically, I should be making $16 an hour now.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, because of my issues with management, and I have been terminated. So when I was terminated, my current wage at termination time, which was June 15th of this year, was $15 an hour.
Only 15?
Only 15.
So you were just $1 above minimum wage.
Just $1
above the new minimum wage, and 4 years. And you have been a nurse for over, what, nearly 30 years now?
Yep.
30
Yep.
years. Do you feel you can support yourself and your family on your wages?
No, impossible. I've already tried to do that just on my wages alone. It's impossible. My wife has to work, but not only that, we have one adult son that also contributes.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, somewhat. He just recently came back to us a few days ago. Most likely due to my unemployment to help out with some of the bills and stuff. I would love to see CNAs, home care providers, and nursing assistants in this day and age to keep up with everything that's just the basic way of living. Shouldn't really get paid nothing less than $20 an hour, but you know, I know the politicians of the world would tend to think we don't deserve that. But this is backbreaking work, and the cost of living is going up. And how can you expect us to survive on anything less than that? It has started to become a money market. It's big business. Private industry jumping into the pot. They keep the overhead low. I'm not saying that the money is not out there as far as the client or the family who contracts with these companies. They contract with these companies at $20, $30 an hour. That don't mean that when it dwindles down that the care provider actually sees that, which I think is something that's not fair, because I don't think anybody should be taking a half of what you earn.
But many people don't realize, like, there's nursing at all different levels. Like,
Exactly.
no matter how long you went to school for, all of those positions are needed. Like, all of those positions, you know, they give life to people.
Exactly. That's my point. That's why we deserve a living wage.
Exactly.
Because we're part of the industry.